Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are back in 1.21.4, and that is because I have got a new mod releasing, and this is the Garden Awakens Plus. There is one thing I do quickly want to mention before we jump in. There might be some bugs. The development of this mod has been very weird. We have developed it in 2 different updates and then merged them, and a lot of things did break. I have fixed the majority of them, but there may still be more, which I hope to patch in the coming weeks. But if you don't know what this mod is, it's a mod that adds to the 1.21.4 update. So let's cover some of the new things it adds. The first thing that it adds is some new flower types to the Pale Gardens. So obviously you have the closed and open eye blossoms. Well, we have added a ice room, and there is once again a closed and open version of these. And if I quickly just show you what these both look like, they once again follow the eye blossom texture, but in mushroom form. But these are unique because they can be grown into a big mushroom. Let's quickly just head out of here so I can place them down. So if I place the closed one down and bone meal this is what this one grows into. It grows into a mushroom that uses a new pale mushroom block. And then also it has a chance to spawn with some drained mushroom blocks, which are pale mushroom blocks but with holes in them. And then if I grow the open one, which I can do right here, this one once again spawns with pale mushroom blocks, but it has a chance to spawn with creaking mushroom blocks, which are the drained ones but with resin inside. And these work like other mushroom blocks, where if you place a block next to them, the side face will turn to the inside of the mushroom texture. But these look pretty cool. Now the actual big mushrooms cannot be found naturally, they can only be gotten by bone mealing the 2 mushroom types. Now inside of this update as well, we've added a new feature for the eye blossoms and also eye shrooms. So if I place both of these down and we grab ourselves some resin bricks, I can click the resin bricks on these to basically stun them, and this works with the eye shrooms as well. So now if I click this, you can see it's given us a stable open eye blossom. This one will give us a stable closed, and then once again the same with these, stable closed and stable open. And basically what these do, these will never change state. So if you want to always build with the open version of the eye blossom, this is a way to get these. So I can now put this one inside of a flower pot or place it down naturally in the world, and it will not close when it reaches daytime. But there is no way to turn these back into the normal versions, so once you stabilize them, there's no way to turn them back. But we can throw these inside of a crafting table to get dyes, and we can also make them into suspicious stews. Now there is one other new plant in this update as well, and these once again spawn naturally through the Pale Gardens, and this is the Thorn bush. These thorn bushes do have different stages to them, so if I bone meal it, you can see it eventually grows, and this is the max state. But the different stages do different things. So when I go inside a survival mode, I did see a creaking around here, so I'm going to have to be careful of that. This one right here will not damage me, but it will have a chance to give me blindness. So the one that hasn't grown will deal no damage. The next stage up will deal half a heart. This one will then do 1 heart, and the final stage will do 1.5 hearts of damage if you walk into it. And each stage has a 25% chance to blind you. So this just makes walking around the Pale Garden a little bit more dangerous, because you can't just look at a creaking and back up, because you will now be damaged and possibly blinded. These can also be put in a flower pot if you want to just decorate with them. Inside of flower pots, they do not affect the player with damage, nor do they give you blindness. Now the next thing inside of this update is pale pumpkins. These once again spawn naturally throughout the Pale Garden in patches. And they look like this. They are just a pale version of the pumpkin. You can shear them to turn them into a carved pale pumpkin, and the carve on it is the creaking face. And then you can also combine them inside of a crafting table with a soul torch to get yourselves a pale jack-o'-lantern. Now the carved pale pumpkin and the pale jack-o'-lantern can be put in your head slot, and you can see it has a new custom overlay, which uses the kind of texture it gives on the eyes. Now you can also shear them, and when you shear them, you'll get pale pumpkin seeds. The pale pumpkin seeds can be planted in the ground to grow more pale pumpkins, and as you can see right there, that is what the stem looks like. And you can also make yourselves a new food source. So if we get ourselves an egg, we also need sugar, we also need pale pumpkins, and then we also need ourselves some resin. If I now throw all this inside of a crafting table, we'll get a pale pumpkin pie. So this is the recipe for it. They can go in any slot. And the pale pumpkin pie is just a new version of the pumpkin pie. Now let me quickly just talk about one of the best features I think in update 1, and that is the ability to click some resin bricks on wood. Now this works on oak, birch, acacia, dark oak, mangrove, cherry, pale oak, bamboo. It does not work on crimson or warped. And the reason it doesn't work on crimson or warped is because when you click on a block, it will give you petrified version. And if you don't know what petrified does, it basically means it cannot be burned. So if you have built a house with maybe like a fireplace inside, you can go round making sure all your wood doesn't burn just by clicking it with some resin. And if we quickly just have a look, you can see it works with planks, logs, stripped logs, wood, stripped wood, pressure plates, stairs, trapdoors, slabs, fence gates, fences, and doors. And you can see all of the different wood sets right here. Now they are a new block, so when you break them, you'll get a whole new block. And that is something I want to hear feedback on. Do you guys think they should have recipes? So if you petrify a log, should you be able to turn that petrified log into 4 petrified planks? I think it doesn't really make sense, but I want to hear your guys' feedback on that. Now, the next thing we're going to cover is a new structure inside of this update, and this structure can be found just wandering around the Pale Gardens. It's a little hole in the ground, and when you venture down here, you'll see it's some kind of cave. It has resin all in the walls, as well as some pale oak, and then inside here, you can see there's a big, massive open area with a lot of creaking hearts, so it makes the place very dangerous. But there's a lot of resin, and this structure is going to be added to in future updates. But it's also an easy source of resin, because you can get quite a lot of it very easily, especially with a lot of creaking hearts. I think there are 4 in total. There are now also resin stairs and resin slabs. And don't get confused for the brick versions, these are for the normal resin blocks. Let's now talk about one of the last features. There are 2 more we've got to cover, and this is the friendly creaking heart. It is crafted like so. And this will give you a new version of the creaking heart, which uses the pale moss texture. And if we put a pale moss block below, and then the creaking heart in the middle, and then also one above, you'll see the block does power. And if we quickly just set the time to night, it will spawn a new version of the creaking. Now this creaking cannot be damaged, it has blue eyes, and it does also have resin climbing up it. Now if I go in survival mode, you can see this creaking isn't freezing. And it's also not attacking me. And that is because this creaking doesn't attack players. It attacks hostile mobs. And that creaking attacked me. So you can see that it's looking at that creaking. Now if I quickly just lure this creaking over here, it will start attacking it. And you can see right there it's punching it. But this creaking isn't taking damage because creakings can't be damaged. If I was to now quickly just grab myself a husk or some kind of other hostile mob, the friendly creaking will now attack the husk. And you can see it's dealing damage to the husk. I don't know why the animations are kind of weird. So this is the friendly creaking. It basically is passive towards the player. When you punch it, it despawns. But that is just so you can punch it to make it spawn somewhere else. Because yes, you can see it's respawned. If I punch it again, it will despawn and once again respawn somewhere else. Now that can only be done by the player. If a mob attacks it, it will obviously not do anything. Now the other difference is obviously the particles going from the creaking to the heart are always showing. So you can always see where the creaking is. Now another thing I want to mention. I want to hear your guys' feedback on how we can make the friendly creaking better. Because currently it's in a very weird state, and this creaking has taken us so long to get correct. But I know a lot of people wanted a passive version of creaking, so that is why we have added it. Once again, do let me know on ways to improve it in the comments, and I'll definitely be listening to some of the feedback. And now the final thing in update 1 is the sight block. This is crafted like so 6 resin brick blocks, then also 2 deep slate blocks, and a creaking heart block. And this will get you a sight block. Now if we quickly just grab this block and place it down, you've already probably been able to see, it will give off a redstone signal when you are looking at it. Now currently the signal is static, so it will always give off the same signal. We will also bring an update to this block in update 2 to bring a different signal, like kind of how the daylight detector does. But this can be used. As you can see when I look at it, it will give off a redstone signal. And it only works for a player. If a mob looks at it, it will not give off a signal. So they are also player detectors as well as site detectors. But that is everything inside of this update. If we quickly just look in the creative inventory, we have covered every single new feature. Once again, there will be more updates to this mod, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future updates. And we are always interested in feedback or suggestions you have for future updates as well, so do also leave them in the comments. But anyway, if you enjoyed, do leave a like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!